What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Team Pause channel. Today we're going to be going over the Raging Bolt EX. Oh, let's do it. So if you guys been following the channel, you know what we do here is we deck test, putting out all the information for you guys, trying to get some of these matches or matchups so you guys can see how the deck performs. Win or lose, doesn't really matter, right? Because data is data, right? That's what this channel is for. So, without further ado, let's get into Raging Bolt. We're definitely going to cover the basic concepts of the Temporal Forces deck with Raging Bolt, explaining what it is, how it differs from the other decks, and trying to discuss some of the strategy that you should be utilizing behind the Pokemon with their temporal abilities and how to manipulate the game over time, right? So, with that said, we're going to get into key cards and combos. Of course, Raging Bolt. This is basically like an electric version of Shin Pow, right? So, what you want to do is you want to stack the energies up on the deck, on the bench as much as possible so that you can create big swings with Raging Bolt. That's like the overall encompassing theme of the deck, right? Now, how do you do that? Definitely doing that with Sandy Shocks. Nothing new here. But this is not what's actually important. So, going from like start to last, right? What I'm really trying to do is I'm trying to get the squawk going on the first turn. If I cannot, right? Then I'm definitely using Burst Roar, right? Try to get as many cards out of your hand as possible. See if you can make some acceptable trade-offs, and then do the Burst Roar, get a new 6 cards, right? Pretty much the same thing. So either I'm trying to get Squawk off first go, or I'm trying to get the Burst Roar off first go, right? Because I need to thin the deck as much as possible so I can get these energies into the discard pile so that I can pull them back with Sandy Shocks. Now, I'm also going to be encouraging Palkia as the secondary attacker, right? Because when you start getting into like deck building tips and strategies and things of this nature, like I've seen the Lost Box version, which I actually kind of like, right? I've seen the Lost Box version, which I kind of like. I don't really enjoy it more than this plain simple basic version. This one to me is still top tier, right? This one is still more consistent across the board. When you start getting into like the Lost Box gimmick, when you start getting into like the Koraidon, the Minion version of the deck, you know what I'm saying? I've seen where people want to add more energy to it as well. Like this deck right here already runs like 13 energies. Like it's hard to add more energy to the deck. And I get why they would switch to Lost Box, because they wanna kind of pull the energy back to the rate, and I get that, but you're already doing that so well with Sandy Shocks. And if you can't, right? If you just really can't, the Palkia VSTAR is a good enough swing, right, to pull some of the energy that you push to the discard pile back to Palkia, right? Or back to an emergency Greninja, take 2 cards out on the bench, and you can do it that way, right? No real necessity for the Lost Box version or the Koraidon Minion version as the secondary attacker. No, it's no real need for it. And as long as you play the Mew properly with the genome hacking, copying one of the attacks of the opponent, 9 times out of 10, the Mew swing is gonna be correct. Like if you're going against Charizard, you're going against Giratina, or if you're like some of these matchups, right? When you start getting into like the matchup analysis and the sideboarding and understanding how like the decks match up against different opponents is pretty crucial for success in the TCG format. So when you guys start actually getting into some of these things, like exploring the strengths and weaknesses of the decks versus the archetypes in the current meta, right? Mew is kind of underutilized, right? I mean, yes, the restart ability to get the 3 cards back, yes, right? But the genome hacking, being able to swing with an opponent's move is pretty good, right? Because most of the time it's a killer. Like, even if somebody used the Mew properly versus like me when I'm using like Roaring Moon or something, bro, I probably just got one-shotted by my own attack, and he stole 2 prize cards off me with the Mew, and he's probably gonna do it again. You know what I'm saying? Like, probably gonna do it again with if they have like a Charizard, and it's got a free retreat. Like, you can easily put this into the active slot, and if you're like, I don't really want to use that attack, well, you pull it off, put something else back in, like the Raging Bolt, right? It's not utilizing the Mew effectively is a big part of the matchup analysis for this deck, I think, because it's like tertiary attacker, right? It's like an in-game kind of play, really, because you're using a Raging Bolt for the most part, right? If you don't have a Raging Bolt set up, like, let's say, because we're only running 3 electric energies, right? We're only running 3 of them. Let's say you don't have something that can pull it back immediately. You could definitely use Palkia V to get a nice little swing in. And then if you really were like towards the end, you're like, man, this Charizard's messing me up. I only got 1 prize left. Bam, smacked him. He's done. Like, easy. So utilizing the Mew is pretty much like the savior of this particular deck, in my opinion, right? Another thing for the matchup analysis, things that you should be looking for, right, is you're not really trying to swing at the Charizards in particular because they have such a big HP, especially when they start using Cape, right? What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to swing at the bench, right? So things like Prime Catcher, using things like Boss to pull people back to the front is going to be what you're looking to do for the most part. And like I said, Mew is kind of like the cleanup card towards the end. As long as you get Prime Catcher, as long as you do the boss correctly, you should be able to pull some 2-prizer out from the bench, do a big swing with Raging Bolt, and you should stay ahead on the prize count, right? Moving forward from that, as long as you have good use of the earthen vessels, most of the time you're going to be putting the water energy in the discard pile in order to get like either fighting or electric. And you can also utilize Sada to pull some of the energies back as well in case you need to create a bigger swing than you normally would have, right? So just try to keep stuff like that in mind. We're not running a lot of boss, you're not running a bunch of counter catcher, so make sure to make the Prime Catcher and the boss count, right? Make sure to use that correctly, because when you swing at a 2-prizer, because there's one on the bench 100% of the time, right? They're running multiple Vs, multiple EXs throughout the decks and most of the metas, right? Make sure you Prime Catch or you boss the correct one for. Other than that, I mean, not really much else to say about the deck, right? Advanced tactics and play tips is really just making big plays with Greninja, because even though, like I said, this Mew works as an in-game killer, right? If they don't evolve some of these stage 2s correctly, they leave the basics on the bench, or maybe it's like Comfeys, right? You're going against Lost Box or something like that. That's when you really need to start throwing Greninja in there. Even Meowscarda, like they may not Meowscarda or Gardevoir, where they leave like some of these cards just like sitting on the bench and they're not fully evolved all the way yet because they're like holding off for some reason. Like, Greninja would probably be the play. Mew is most likely the play. You know what I'm saying? Think about it that way when you start getting towards the end game of utilizing this particular deck. Other than that, I like it. Straightforward. It's mid, but it's good swings, right? It's very good swings. It's consistent swings. You won't kill Charizard. It doesn't really solve the Charizard problem, but what it does do is it plays around the Zard very well. You will swing big enough consistently to get around the Zard with no problem, right? This is what I do like about it. But I'll drop the Lost Box version of this, which is worth a mention. I don't like the Koraidon. I don't like the Koraidon Luminion. I probably won't do a video on that. I don't like that version of it. But the Lost Box version is worth the mention if you like Lost Box, right? If you like Lost Box, you like getting deep into Lost Box and the colorist and grabbing the energies back and the Sableye. Okay, I'm gonna make the video for you. I got you, no problem. But this is the version that I would stick with personally. You know what I'm saying? As far as the three variants that I've seen, right? And you know what I'm saying? Like, we're getting Twilight Masquerade. Maybe this will evolve even more, and I'll like the new version better, right? But this would be my recommendation for everybody. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Make sure to keep these tactics. If you guys have any trouble, any issues, any like matchups that you would want to see more of, maybe I didn't do enough Raging Bolt videos. I got plenty on here, but maybe I didn't do enough Raging Bolt videos and you want to see a different matchup. You didn't see this deck get matched up with this deck. I'll try to get it to you, no problem. Just let me know in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe. Other than that, guys, peace.